Is this thing on? Did I push the right buttons on here? I did. You made it. You made it to the first inaugural and the first ever video podcast of the Range Minded podcast. You finally get to see my ugly mug. What is happening? Big things changing, guys. Big things changing. Nick and I had a pretty awesome conversation today on places that we believe this podcast will be headed, which is going to be awesome. We're excited. So, we got the YouTube page up and running, and with the service that I'm using, Anchor, to do the podcast, we can do video shows and upload them into Spotify. So these will only be available, nachos. These will only be available in two places, these video podcasts. You can hear the audio, as usual, on all the places that the podcast is available. But the video is only going to be available on Spotify and YouTube. And then later on down the road, we'll figure out what to do from there. So Nick was saying that I have a stupid backdrop. Well, he didn't really say. Okay, maybe I embellished what he actually did say. We were watching. I don't remember whose podcast it was actually. Whose live broadcast? American Firearms Association. That's what we were watching because maybe unless you are completely living in a hole, you don't know what's happening with the state of the Second Amendment. And we'll get to that. But first I wanted to address the backstop. Is my backstop that boring? Like, I said, dude, I got my stickers, I've got my patches, and he's like, Nick said, well, stickers are dumb. Dude, I got my flags. What? My flags. That's not dumb. America, damn it. America. Maybe you can just tell I'm excited. If you guys saw my live feed last night on Instagram, I apologize because I was extremely tired and probably suffering from mild heat stroke. I was outside all day in the heat, something that this fat bald guy is not really used to. So it was a little dicey for a while, and I was exhausted. Needless to say, today apparently I'm still suffering from mild brain damage as well. I was outside in the same heat for almost the same amount of time, but it didn't quite affect me as much, I think. Anyway, so big news on the Second Amendment today. So Nancy Pelosi, in her sneaky, snake-like self, intoxicated snake-like self, found a way to usher in H.R. 1808, which is the newest version of the assault weapons ban. So what they did is they basically, if you haven't really paid attention to this, we've talked about it before on the show, is they basically took the 92 assault weapons ban, which Joseph Robinette Biden, we'll get to that side note in a second, was the author of that bill back in 92. That bill sunsetted in 02. Sunsetted? That bill ended in 02. Grammar's hard for me too. Which allowed, my gosh, I'm just excited. I apologize. Which allowed, once that sunsetted, then we got a plethora of manufacturers that flooded the market. Now they're going to tell you, and you're going to hear a lot, that the assault weapons ban of 92, there was no gun crime. The crime reduced dramatically. That's not entirely accurate. If you want to go into the statistics, if you want us to do a real deep dive into what transpired after the 92 sunset ban, like, because they said, oh, absolutely, gun crime is going to rise. It's going to skyrocket. What happened was tens of thousands of ARs were purchased in 2002. Now they figure, I know I said the other day in a broadcast that there's somewhere around 20 million ARs. Well, according to the NSSF, there's actually somewhere around 24 million AR-15 style rifles in American hands, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 million. They really don't even know this for sure. But there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 million firearms in U.S. civilian hands. That's not quite enough. There should be more. if civilian gun owners, responsible Second Amendment, law-abiding gun owners were the problem, I guarantee we would have a lot bigger issue. I guarantee it. So basically, what Pelosi did is she found a way to compile some of the bills together. There was like a law enforcement protection act, I think was something like that was in there. She found a way to kind of clump all these bills together to do a same-day vote. Anything as drastic and as big and impactful as H.R. 1808 is by itself, there should have been a 24-hour wait for the congressmen and those in the Senate. Man, I'm tired, I guess. For the representation to go through the bill and understand it so they could debate it properly. Well, she found a way to just jam it right up the old a-hole and force a vote on it today. If you haven't heard, it did pass the House. It did. It was 117 to 113, 217 to 213. That's what it was. 2 Republicans voted in favor of the Gun Control Act, and 1 Republican didn't vote. It was a no vote for that 1 Republican. So basically, 3 Republicans sold you down the river. 3 Republicans. 5 Democrats actually voted against the bill, and I'm sure we'll find out who it is. I haven't done the time to really research who voted how. But those 2 Republicans need to go. They need to go. That's unacceptable. And for this to even make it this far in the process is unacceptable. We kind of knew it was going to happen in the House. There's a lot of folks that are saying that it's never going to pass in the Senate. It's never going to make it. It's just doesn't have the legs. I have no confidence in that. Honestly, I'm kind of an optimistic person, but I just have zero confidence that it won't cause problems in the Senate. I hope I'm wrong. But only time will tell. So that'll hit the Senate floor. I don't remember when for sure. Again, I didn't really do my research too close on that one yet, which is very responsible journalisming on my part. So what do we do now? Well, now we fight like hell. That's it. We fight like hell. We make our voices heard, and we got to get on the horn to those who represent us. They work for you and for me, not the other way around. And these rights did not come from men. They came from God. I know maybe you guys aren't really terribly religious. That's fine. I don't care what your religious affiliation is. What I do care is I truly believe that these rights are not granted by men, but by God. And that's a different discussion if you want to talk about religion. This is not a religious podcast. And it's time to put your money where your mouth is. You need to be joining groups like the American Firearms Association. I don't really like the National Association of Gun Rights. They seem a little fishy to me, but whatever. They still do a little bit more work, or a lot more work, than the NRA. If you're donating money to the NRA, you just need to cancel your membership. They were nowhere to be found during this bill. Nowhere. Not on their social media, not in the emails. I mean, I got 1,000 freaking emails in the last few days about if I hurry and donate, I get a fancy range bag or this other bullshit. They were nowhere to be found. And if you're continually supporting the NRA, if you feel like they're really supporting you, then maybe you don't have a dog in this fight. If you think that the Second Amendment is only for hunting, maybe you don't have a dog in the fight. If you support the Second Amendment, but ... maybe your dog died. It's done. The NRA is not supporting gun owners at all anymore. They're not. They're in the middle of a big legal problem while Wayne LaPierre is up there wasting members' money, hiring his own family to work inside the operation, getting paid millions of dollars, getting all sorts of bonuses and bullshit, and they're not doing their job. And it's kind of like the same way what's why we ended up where we're at as far as our representation. It's the same thing. We're apathetic, we're quiet, we don't think it's ever going to happen here, yet here we are again. Again, this bill will not have a sunset like the 92 bill. It won't. It'll be law. It'll be done. It'll be over. Unless we fight like hell. Are you ready for the fight? Are you willing to make your voice heard? There are over 100 million gun owners in the United States. We just talked about how many firearms are in the United States. There are around 24 million AR-15 style rifles in the United States. Where the hell are these gun owners? You should be freaking making phone calls like crazy to Washington right now. Where are you? We talk about the 3%ers, right? Now, 3%ers now, they have a pretty negative context. They're kind of extreme in some of their views. Whatever. I'm not getting into that discussion. But where that term came from was they've said 3% of the country in the revolution is what held the British back. I'll take 1% right now. 1%. Where in the hell are the gun owners? Why have you been sitting on your laurels? If you're new to the gun culture, I get it, I understand it. Maybe we sound a little fringy and crazy. It's because we're passionate about the Constitution. It's not because we're passionate about having our AR-15s. That's really not what it's about. It's about the rights. It's about a protection of a right granted in the Constitution. And they're going to say, the Dems very said that the Second Amendment is not absolute. It's not unrestrained. It is. It is. Today in some of their debates, they talked about, well, it was Jerry Nadler said, well, they think they're going to stand up against the government. We have hydrogen bombs. So you're thinking about an option of dropping a nuclear bomb on your own citizenry? That's part of the problem, you old fart. That's part of the problem. It has nothing to do with hydrogen bombs. You know what? If you got the money to buy an F-15 or an F-35 or a Black Hawk or whatever, cool. Cool, let's do it. Yeah. Yeah, we should be allowed to have that. Look at history. There were private ships that were consigned into the Navy that had the exact same firepower as the world's strongest army at the time. The Constitution grants the rights of the people to keep and bear arms. It is not a privilege given by the federal government. The Constitution is a restriction of federal powers, not a gift from the feds to the states and to the citizenry. Where are you, gun owners? Where are you? This is not about hunting. This is about your civil rights. Yep, your civil rights. Healthcare is not a right. Abortion's not a right. Your Second Amendment is a protected right granted to you and ungoverned by the feds. While you sit here and complain that it's too hard to make a phone call or write an email, you are losing your rights. You're losing them because you're lazy, because you're apathetic, because you don't want to get off your stupid phone because you're too busy playing stupid games or checking your Twitter feed or whatever. If you spent half the time that you do on your social media as you did in contact with your representation, we would not be where we are today. That's how I feel about it. Maybe you don't feel that way. Anyway, shall we move on to something more exciting? It's kind of a heavy day. I was really frustrated today. While Nick and I were on the phone, it was when this bill was going through, and we were watching the votes get counted. And Nick had no idea what was going on. He was been busy at the office. Sorry, I'm getting text messages over here. What ifs? So I kind of brought his day down. He was so excited to talk to me about the next step of the podcast that I ruined his day. And honestly, it wasn't a good day for me either. But it's not over yet. The fight is not over. It has just begun. Well, it's begun its next phase. Let's put it that way. You have to make phone calls, write emails, bug the crap out of your representation. Find the White House hotline or the switchboard. That's fine. You can do that. Or you can be as simple as just Googling who your senators are and writing them an email. It is not hard. It is not hard at all. Do it. Do it. If you give a damn about your rights, and it's not going to stop. Maybe this is just crazy tinfoil hat. It's not going to stop at the Second Amendment. Then they're going to attack First Amendment. They're going to say, well, you can't say, well, we already see it. You can't say certain words. That hurts people's feelings. You shouldn't be allowed to free speech it out on the social media. Those are private companies. They can moderate anything that you say. Hello? It's a public square. Might be a private company, but they are being funded by public dollars. It is a public square. Hello? Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. It's not that hard. Okay. Let's get some lighthearted stuff out. Let's get rid of the boring, gloomy, woe is me stuff. Let's talk about the podcast. So, if all goes well, there are going to be some avenues opening up for the show. Some fun avenues opening up for the show. We will be able to have the freedom to do a lot more. But we need your help. We can't do it on our own. We need your help. I've turned on, if you go through Anchor, I've turned on the monetization opportunity thing on there. There's a way for you to donate to the show if you like what we're doing. You don't have to. You don't have to. You might be annoyed by me. That's fine. Whatever. You don't want to hear my sexy voice. Whatevs. But if you do like what we're doing, and if you do want to see us do more, and there are going to be some great opportunities opening up for the show. So I'm going to talk about that. But we still could use your support. There's a lot of stuff that we want to do. A lot of fun stuff that we want to do. I'm going to be taking the show to Colorado in September? Yeah. Second week of September. I'm going to be going to Blade Camp, Marshall Blade Concepts Blade Camp. I'm excited to meet all the people up there, and I'm excited to take you guys along. I'm going to be trying to do a show every night. It's going to be tough. We'll probably do some live feeds every night, talking to some of the folks around. If you're not familiar with Blade Camp or Marshall Blade Concept, it's Michael Janich developed this program. It's defensive use only with knife blades. That's what Adam Boyce teaches. We've talked about this before. So I'll have a chance to meet with Michael Janich. I'm stoked, and I hope I can get him on the show. I'm not making any promises, but I hope I can get him on the show. But there are so many other people that are going to be there. Man, sorry, this is a terrible video. There are so many other people that are going to be there that I want to introduce you to, and I'm so stoked. But it takes money. That's just the reality of the beast. So if you're willing to pitch in a little bit, that's awesome. You don't have to. Whatever. But the opportunities that are going to be open up aren't going to be free, but they're going to be there. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much more than you think, and I hope that when you're listening to the show, it's more like listening to a buddy and not listening to some Well, that probably is like listening to some bald guy rant about the boring stuff. But I don't want to just do boring stuff. We want to do some fun stuff. Nick's come out with a new holster. We want to, or we will be, not just want to, we will be talking about that new holster coming out, or that is out and available, which I think is pretty awesome. I was talking to him about them on the phone today, and they're pretty interesting. That it's yeah, we'll be doing some video stuff. We'll be talking about it. Nick's gonna he's already got some videos and stuff, I think, on his website available. I guess no promises there. I can't remember for sure. I was actually looking today at them. But it's stellar. It's awesome. If you have any questions, just look at his Instagram feed. Hoff Tech Industry, the holster guy, the holster shop. I think that's another handle on Instagram. All those will get you to the same place. Nick is burning up on Instagram, man. That kid he's taken off like a shooting star. He's going places, and he's been a busy dude. He's still part of the show. I promise you, he is still part of the show, and we're gonna have him more and more, as much as possible, because with this new holster and some other stuff that he's doing, his time is getting very limited. He's a busy dude. Let's see, we talked about holsters, Nick, where the show's gonna go. Yeah, that's probably it. This is gonna be a real short video clip. I just wanted to see how this was gonna work, and yeah, like I say, it's the first video show of the Range Minded podcast. Guys, we absolutely appreciate you spending time with us. We are passionate about not just the Second Amendment, but all of our rights. We are true blue, red-blooded Americans. We work for a living. We put on our shoes just like anybody else does, 1 foot at a time. We appreciate you. We know how valuable time is. Our time is precious too. We want you guys to make sure that you know that we appreciate you. With the craziness going on in the world, we're going to be talking a little bit in some other shows about maybe changing the way that we carry defensive carry. The world of firearms is changing drastically and quickly, and it could take some really weird turns down the road. So maybe it's time that we stop thinking like the old days and just change things up. So we're going to be talking about gun size, magazine size, maybe optics, all that stuff in a later show, which should be a lot of fun. We want to do some more new product shows. Yeah, I'm just going to say it's going to be, it could end up being really cool. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you again for listening. Make sure that you take somebody shooting. Please take somebody shooting. Share your love for firearms, your passion for firearms with others around you. Owning a gun is normal. It's a normal thing in the United States. It's not scary. It's not illegal in many places. I mean, some states have it illegal. It's your right, and we should be exercising that right, just as we exercise our First Amendment, our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, freedom to petition. Those are all freedoms that we should be exercising, and we should be proud of being American. This is the greatest country on earth. I don't care what other people say. It is not a gangland wasteland of violence and hate. There are some hateful people, and they seem to be more active than ever, which is more reason why we should be caring and be ready to defend our friends and family. Friends, good night, good luck, stay safe, and take somebody shooting.